What's up, flappers? Welcome to another video, and I know today's video is a little late, but sorry, I had something to do. Hope you guys can forgive me, and in return I hope that this video is going to give you a good idea for what kind of teams you would want to run with Shenhe. Now, I did have to test her here and there quite a bit to see if she functions better or worse with certain options, and it's safe to say that at the end of the day, the teams that I have picked out here are going to be some really solid options, both for people who can afford it, like the one on screen right now, as well as some free-to-play options for people to take advantage of Shenhe if she somehow ended up spoofing your summons or she joined your team for other reasons. All right, with that said, make sure to like and subscribe. Make Genshin videos every day, stream Wednesdays and Saturdays. So actually a little later this evening, I will be seeing you guys on stream. So hope to see you guys all there. Let's get into the video. First team is actually very straightforward, right? It's Ganyu, Kazuha, Kokomi, and Shenhe. And while you guys may be wondering, well, can I have Barbara in here instead of Kokomi? Unfortunately, if you have Barbara, you're not going to get as much freeze as you should be getting with this team. Kokomi here is going to really allow you to do wide area freeze effect along with Ganyu, which is going to be the key of making this team work, because this team does not have a shielder, so Ganyu is going to get knocked around quite a bit if you cannot upkeep that freeze, right? Especially for multiple enemies. Barbara just can't get the job done unless you are swirling Hydro and then having Ganyu's burst running, which you could make it work, but that means your freeze window is going to be much less. So overall, in this particular team scenario, Kokomi is almost non-replaceable, all right? And the rest is going to be very straightforward because Shenhe's cryo resistance shred stacks with Kazuha's 4-piece viridescence. You're going to get an insane amount of cryo resistance shred overall here, as well as cryo buffing from Shenhe to just hypercharge your Ganyu to deal as much damage as you possibly can. All right, so this is going to be overall the most solid and well-rounded team. Ganyu's burst doesn't cost too much, so 2 cryo units is more than enough to get her burst cycling almost always. With Kazuha here, instead of someone like Ayaka, you're able to further amplify Ganyu's damage as opposed to splitting the damage amplification between Ganyu and Ayaka. So for example, if in this particular scenario, you instead of Kazuha, you have Ayaka here, yeah, Ayaka is going to benefit from Shenhe's buffing as well as help apply cryo to freeze enemies and just deal overall a ton of damage. But as long as you have an invested Ganyu, overall this is going to be a more meta team and you're gonna be able to find more success with this variant. All right, with that said, let's move on to team 2. So team 2 here is an Ayaka variant, and you'll quickly notice something. It's because of Ayaka's reliance on her burst skill that you oftentimes do want to try and run more cryo units just to facilitate some particles for her. And of course Kokomi is here as well, and yes, the same applies. If you want to run this team, it's a freeze team. Understand that Kokomi is almost irreplaceable in this particular team, as her hydro application is just currently unrivaled when it comes to range, uptime, and of course she heals, right? So she really fulfills all the needs of the last spot for this team. Now instead of Ganyu here, we have Ayaka. Instead of Kazu here, we have Kaya. This is a freeze team through and through. There's nothing to talk about it really. Cycling through all these character skills, especially with Kaya being able to have his burst on field while he himself is off field to take advantage of Shenhe's elemental skill. He's a great character overall to be able to utilize Shenhe's kit along with Ayaka. Now, if you have Ganyu here, it also works. Ganyu in many ways works even better than Kaya, but if you don't have Ganyu, you have Ayaka, you have Kokomi. This is a great team to run. Remember, right, there's very little difference. You change the main DPS and you change the support DPS here, but let me tell you guys, Ayaka, Ganyu, Kokomi, Shenhe is also a great freeze team, and that's why I said it's the upgraded version of this, but this is going to be something that's more accessible. Now, just for demonstration's sake, I'm just going to take this character out for people who needs a visual representation of the upgraded version. This is going to be the upgraded version of this Ayaka variant. Moving on to the third team, this is going to be the budget Shenhe team. This is for people who don't have Ayaka, this is for people who don't have Ganyu, and this is for people who don't have Kokomi. So you guys see on screen here, it's very straightforward as well. Kaya, Chongyun. Chongyun is going to be here to facilitate Kaya, maybe turn some of that damage to Cryo, along with both of their bursts are good to work with Shenhe. For Chongyun, he doesn't hit for many times. It's just 3 blades, I believe, and with Constellation, I believe there's a 4th blade, so he can take advantage of Shenhe's pressed E very easily, along with Kaya's burst. Like I said previously, is on field even when he is not field, constantly taking advantage of Shenhe's elemental skill. Now, this team definitely has a lower damage ceiling. It's also a freeze team, and of course with Barbara here, it's going to be tough. But overall, if you want to run Shenhe and you don't have any of the 5 stars I've mentioned previously, this is going to be a decent variant. There is also another way to run a freeze team, and I'll get to that a little later. For people who don't want to run Barbara and also don't have Kokomi, there's one more Hydro character available if you were lucky enough to get her that can facilitate a freeze team. Alright, but like I said, we'll get to that a little later. Now on to the 4th team. This is going to be probably the most explosive and accessible team for the vast majority of the viewers watching. Now just understand that the fundamentals here is very simple. However, the execution is, I'm just going to say it, right? You guys think this is going to be an easy walk in the park type of execution, but there is something tricky about this. It's mainly because Ganyu is unprotected in this particular team comp, as well as timing Xiangling's burst skill and utilizing the melt reaction properly. I'm not an expert on this, and I certainly wouldn't prefer to play this team, even though it likely has the highest damage ceiling. But sequence of skill usage here is going to be important, and anybody who has played any melt teams or Xiangling teams knows that Xiangling Bennett is going to be the irreplaceable features in this particular team. If you switch out Xiangling, you throw in Diluc, doesn't work. You throw in Hu Tao, doesn't work. It is Xiangling and Bennett along with Ganyu. Ayaka also doesn't work very well here, so just understand the principles of this and practice. Time it right. It's going to take a couple tries or maybe even many attempts, and eventually it's going to become muscle memory. So this is going to be a great team for people who are kind of like semi low budget. You have Ganyu and you have Shenhe, and then I'm pretty sure you have Xiangling and Bennett at this point, right? So that's going to be that for this particular team. Now remember earlier when I said there's a character that you could slot in who's also a Hydro character whom can facilitate the lack of a Kokomi, and it's also a better variation of using Barbara, and that's going to be her right here, Mona. Alright, Mona is going to be a great character to replace Kokomi with, and of course it's a better version than Barbara, and in many cases that as long as you're able to be precise enough with this character, you won't be losing too much when it comes to Hydro application. Alright, now here's the thing, you guys may be scratching head, and so did I when I first heard about this, that if you're running Mona, then how are you gonna get heals? And that's where the weapon prototype Amber comes into the picture. That would be this particular weapon right here. Now at R1, you're gonna be able to get 4% every 2 seconds. For 6 seconds, that's 12%. And if you can get this weapon all the way up to R5, it would be 6% HP every 2 seconds for 6 seconds, which would be 18%. And I would highly advise you try to use this weapon starting maybe at R3 or something like that, unless you're going to be very precise and careful with how you manage your HP. So I'm just saying this right here, it's a tough way to play using Mona essentially as your healer, like your pseudo healer, right? But it works, and I would invite anyone who feels a lack of challenge and maybe a lack of damage in their Shenhe teams to try Mona. Alright, with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you guys all in my live stream later. We're going to be giving away a couple more Kaching skins here and there, and of course remember this Saturday we're going to be giving away more 5-star characters. With that said, I hope to see you guys very soon. Until then, stay safe and peace.